everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video. I am so excited to finally be able to share this video with you. I have been keeping it secret for a little while because I wanted the person to receive their bar of soap first before I actually revealed the video. Boo, who is from MooBoo Melts and More, is a wonderful young lady who I have been following since she was pre-teenager and been following her over the years, and I love to help her where I can, and we often have little chats there. Now, one of the things that she said to me was that she had been trying to create a highland cow using soap dough, and this was something that was also playing in my mind because highland cows are just so super gorgeous. They are so cute, and I had contemplated trying it, but when she said she'd been trying to create this soap dough highland cow and just couldn't work out how to do it, I accepted the challenge of trying to work out how to make little highland cows to go onto the top of a soap bar. So today I'm going to take you along and show you how I make some little highland cows, or as I like to call them, grass puppies, and I'm going to show you how I make them with the soap dough and then the soap that they're going to go on. Let's go. To make the highland cows, I've got a few colours here. I'm using the Pimp My Soap soap dough. I have got some espresso, which is a lovely dark brown. We've got some red. I have some flesh and some gold. I'll also be using the extruder tool. This one I've put in the one with lots of tiny little holes so we can create the hair to go on our little cows. And then I've just got some other real basic tools like some scissors, knife, and some shapers here. So to start with, what I'm going to do is get some of my espresso soap dough. I'm only going to blend a little bit because I have already been making them, but I'll show you the process. So I've got some of my espresso soap dough. I know each of my cows is weighing about 10 grams, and I need more of this espresso than I do of the other colours. So I've got about 7 grams on there. And I'm going to grab the red and I'm going to top this up till I get to about 11 grams, just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room with the size. So I'm just going to use my little tool here. This tool is absolutely wonderful for cutting soap dough up. Just maybe a tiny bit more. Perfect. I'm going to wrap my soap dough up that I'm not using just to make sure it doesn't dry out on me. And then I'm going to mush this together until we get a really nice reddish brown colour. Right, so I'm pretty happy with that colour. If it wasn't, I could either add more red or more brown into it until I've got that sort of perfect highland cow colour that I'm after. As I said, I have already been doing this before, so I'm just going to blend that together. I do already have some in my extruder here. What I'm going to do is on my little scales here, I'm going to tear it out, and then I'm going to weigh out a little 4 gram piece here, which will be the body. That's that piece, and then I'm going to do another piece for the head, which I want to be about 2 grams. All right. While I'm not working with this piece, I'm just going to wrap it back up just to make sure it doesn't dry out. And it is actually quite humid today, so there's a possibility of it going real sticky too. What we're going to do is take this bigger piece, the 4 gram piece, and I'm going to roll it up so that it becomes a bit of a squat oval, because I want my cows narrow enough to sit on the top of my soap, and I also want a little bit of height, so it's like almost like an almond sort of shape. And what I'm now going to do is grab my extruder tool, and I'm going to extrude out some of this dough. And what I find easiest is to rest my tool so that it's over the top of my box, that the strands are hanging down and they don't get all misshapen. And what I'm going to do is grab my scissors, and I'm going to cut myself a piece off. And then I'm just going to start layering it over the back of the cow. Now, making sure that it is standing upright, and I'm layering my little hair over the top of the cow and gently pushing it down, making sure that there are no gaps showing through. And then I'm just going to trim the excess like so. And then I'm going to grab myself a little bit more. And again, I'm going to lay it over the top of my cow here. This time, because we're near the end, I'm going to kind of curve it around and it will start to fill in that space. Once I've got a sort of small enough gap, I'm going to grab this excess I cut off before, just pop it in there and fill in that gap and give it a bit of a trim. Alright, then I'm going to do the same on the front. I'm going to grab the rest of that excess curl there, start wrapping it around. Good idea to keep your scissors nice and clean as you're going along. I just put a bit of rubbing alcohol on here, keeps them nice and clean. I'm going to grab just a little bit more to go on the front here, like so. And again, give that a bit of a trim. That is the start of the body of the cow. Now what I actually find easy, so we've got a little bit of a gap in there, so we'll fill that in with a bit more fur, like so. Now what I find easiest at this point, to get the head to sit on here nicely, I'm going to decide, I think I want this to be the back of my cow just because of the way the hair's falling. This is going to be the front. I'm going to grab myself my tool, and at this point I'm just going to put myself a little hollow in there, and with some of this excess I've cut off here, I'm just going to roll myself just a very small ball and pop it in to that hollow I've just made. And I just find, and you'll see in a bit, this makes it so much easier to attach the head and keep them on there nice and strong. Talking of the head, let's grab the 2 gram piece here, and I'm going to just double check that it feels a bit big. No, it's definitely 2 grams. So I'm going to roll it up. And I don't want it to be round because the cow's heads don't tend to be round, but I am going to just flatten it out just a little bit like so. So we've got more of a oval sort of shape. And again, I'm going to grab some of this off here, and I'm going to start layering it onto my head. I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to put my hair on like so. And the way I've done this, I'm only starting about halfway across the top of the head and then bringing it back. Give that a bit of a trim. Grab some more to fill in the sides. And just kind of manipulating it around a little bit so it comes down the sides of the face here. I'm going to trim that bit down as well. Fill in this other side too. Alright, so that's the front, which will be the face, and then we've got all the hair on the back here. Now while I've still got control of this here, I'm going to put my little hole into the bottom of my head, which is where later on we'll attach it. Now to do the horns, I'm going to use the gold. I'm just going to break off a small amount. Doesn't need to be a lot, and I'm going to roll it out into a sausage, but I'm going to make sure that my 2 ends stay fairly pointy. Once I've got that sort of shape, I'm going to grab my head where the top of that hairline is. We're going to put our little horns across the top, and I'm going to squish it down in the middle, and then I'm going to curl my horns up, trying to get it as even as possible. So next I'm going to do a little nose for my cow. So I've got a piece of the flesh, and I only need the tiniest of pieces here, and I'm just going to roll it into a ball and then squish it down flat and try and create that sort of muzzle shape that we would need. And then I'm going to attach it to the front of my soap dough here, like so. And then we're going to grab some more of this. I'm just going to wind myself a bit more out just to make it easier. Oops, got a little bit rough there. Trim it down so it's nice and even. Not that it's that important to have it even, just find it easier to work with. I'm going to cut a piece off, and then I make sure that the piece is long enough that it comes over the back of the horns, so it can kind of be blended in to the hair on the back. And then I'm going to start pulling it down and around that nose. If ever you've seen pictures of highland cows, that hair is usually just all over the place, half covering their nose. Don't be afraid to get in there with a pair of scissors and just give it a little bit of a trim there. We need a little bit more there, so I'm just going to use some of this excess I've pulled off from before. I'm going to grab that, pop it over on this side again, making sure it comes across down the back here, like so, filling in these gaps. And grab my scissors, give that a bit of a trim, and then I'm going to get my smaller tool here, just might move that bit of hair out the way. We're going to pop in a couple of little nostrils, and then also just a tiny little mouth. And then I'm going to sit it on top of that other little piece that I did earlier. Just give it a bit of a push down. Right, just making sure that it's all covered up. And there's our little highland cow. So I've got a few more of these to go and make, and then we'll move on to making the soap. Alright, so we have our little herd of grass puppies. Some of them are taking little naps here, but I absolutely love how they have come out. They all have their own little personalities, just how the hair has fallen over their face and sometimes the different colours that are in the fur here, but they are all so super cute. They're all about the same size as well. Hopefully they are all narrow enough to go on my bars, but I will be using the single bar to cut this one. Now the fragrance oil I am using, I actually got this one from off of iLux out of their clearance section, called Kakadu Fresh Cut Grass. It's got a really intriguing aroma. It says it's got kakadu, plum, melon, grass and fresh bush smells, and I kind of get like a Parma violet sort of smell out of it. You know, that sort of real intriguing smell that makes you keep going back to smell it some more. So I'm going to use that. It does say it's got 0% vanillin in it, which I'm really hoping. I am going to be doing mainly greens, which I've got all over here, but I have got a little bit of white to help separate those greens a little bit. I'm going to be doing one of my favorite pours. Some people tell me it's called a dirty pour, but I really don't know. It's where I split my colors up and then pour them all back into the bucket and then pour them into the mold. And when I do that, I have over here some soap dough canes, which are some flowers. I've used a I Dream in Soap flower extruder disc, and I've just I've blended a few different colors together. So we've got a sort of orangey yellow and we've got a purpley pink set of flowers, so I'll scatter those amongst there as well. Now I'm going to set most of the actual soap making to some music so you can sit back and watch how we put this soap together. Well, what a mess that turned out to be. I thought all was going really well, and then all of a sudden 2 out of the 4 greens decided to start moving really quickly. Elusive behaved really well. It stayed nice and fluid for me. The white went a little bit chunky, but I think we've managed to get it all in, and we'll get some beautiful sort of swirls. And I remembered to put all my flowers in as well, so hopefully that design is going to all come through. I have noticed recently, when I first started using the iLux fragrances, they were really well behaving in soap. They didn't accelerate and stuff, but I have noticed the last few times I've ordered, pretty much all of them have accelerated on me. So I don't often buy them. She had a fragrance I really wanted, and that was why I did end up ordering them. But I think that might be the last ones for soap for a while, because I hate it when they accelerate like that. But we've got them in. I'm going to put my cows in. I've just actually marked where my cut lines will be to make sure that I am getting my cows between the lines. So hopefully, even though we'll be using the single bar cutter, we won't cut any off. If anything, it will be the horns that will get sacrificed. But being soap dough, we can very easily fix them. I'm putting them facing opposite ways, because I think if I do try and put them that way, we might end up with a little bit of a problem with their horns. But on we go. The fragrance oil does smell really good. It seems to have got a little bit stronger since it went into the soap. So I'm happy with that. It is starting to set up quite firmly, so I'm going to get these cows on. I then saved myself some of that green, which I put into a piping bag. And what I find the best way of getting a grass effect on the top of soaps, rather than using the grass piping tip, which doesn't seem to work particularly well with soap, I like to use a Wilton leaf tip, and I just go through and put tons and tons of tiny little leaves. So hopefully, yeah, this is still nice and fluid, which is good. One of these greens did actually set up an awful lot, so I try to avoid putting that one in. There's a little bit in there, so it's getting a bit difficult. But now I'm just going to go through and put in a ton of tiny little leaves. And then when I've got all of those on, just to give it that sort of texture, I've got these little flowers that I've made using one of the sprinkle sheets from off Wickedly Goods and some soap dough. So I'm going to put little flowers with my little cows on the top as well. Finish it off, I'm going to use some of this Daffodil Fields Bio Sparkle, which is available on the Pimp My Soap webpage. It is absolutely stunning. So I'm just going to grab a bit with my brush here. It's got this real translucent look to it, so you can't really see it right now, but as the light kind of sparkles across or moves across the top, the Bio Sparkle picks up the different lights. It's absolutely stunning. This one has to be my favourite one that I've added to the range lately. Okay, so Grass Puppy is now in the mould. You can see that Bio Sparkle just glistening there on the tops as the light moves over it. I am absolutely in love with this soap. I know I say that about so many of them, but come on, look at those faces. They are so super adorable. I'm going to leave this one sit overnight, and we'll be back in just a moment, and we'll cut it open and take a look. Alright, we are ready to cut into Grass Puppy. It's so cute. I have got a few air holes on the side, but they're going to be really easy to fix. I have actually done a video showing how I fix like the air pockets on the sides of my soaps. I'm not surprised I've got them, because this really did thicken up quite quickly. Now, to avoid both myself and everyone else panicking over whether or not I am going to be hurting any of these little grass puppies, I am using the single bar cutter. Sorry, we had to have an abrupt little stop there as I just had a customer come into the shop. So as I said, I'm going to try and avoid giving everyone heartache over this one and holding their breath while we cut it by using the single bar cutter. I think we may still have just a couple where we are close, but I should be able to maneuver the wire perfectly around each of these cows. These are going to be a longer cut, so we're not going to do the whole loaf, but we'll do a fair bit of it. And that is the inside. I love those little speckles of flowers. There's our little cow. How cute is he? And there is the other side. So I absolutely love how this has come up. I'm really pleased that I suddenly thought to make the little flower embeds to go on the inside. Just going to grab myself a piece of paper towel. I'm just wiping it down so I don't get any of that sort of soap build up on here on my cows as we go through. So very carefully. Oh, this one might be a little bit sneaky. Just a tiny little bit comes off him, but he's still all right. We can always fix them. It is just soap dough. All right, just brush off the little bit of fur that he lost there. There's that one, and there is the inside. I am so super happy with it. You can see, rather than getting all the nice swirls, I was trying to get through this technique that we've got a few more blobby colors. This color in particular did thicken up. The elusive, which is this really dark green, that actually stayed nice and fluid. So it was amazing watching how the fragrance behaves with different colors. There's so much that can actually make our soaps misbehave, and colors is just one of them. The way the color and fragrance interact, just getting that little bit of excess hair off. I'll be able to really sort all these out later. Oh no, he's going to get a right chopping, so we actually might go from the other end, and hopefully by the time we get down here it'll all be sorted. Alright, flip it over. It smells really good. It still has that really unique smell to it that fragrance oil has. I think that looks like a nice end piece that I should actually have. Alright, so let's get that piece off and let's cut the next one. Alright, I'm going to again wipe that excess off just so it doesn't get stuck on any of the horns as we go through. Perfect. Excellent. Through we go. Grab this one out. And there is the inside and the little grass puppy on the top of there. I absolutely love this. Boo, I hope you have enjoyed watching how you can actually make these little Highland cows, and I can't wait to see you have a go at it as well. And you will be getting one of these bars of soap as well, so hopefully you'll have it by the time this video actually airs. So really pleased with it. Thank you, Boo, for the inspiration to actually finally go ahead and create a soap with little Highland cows on it. If you are interested in seeing how this one does look once it has finished curing, come and follow me over on Instagram or even Facebook, and I will post final pictures when this soap is actually ready and to go on the website. So there it is. Thank you so much for coming and watching with me today. Until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.